Hey, what's up, everybody? It is Yakosha Boy, the Hebrew Hammer, here with all the scores, stats, and sadness from Week 9 of the Team Daddy League. This week's recap is brought to you by Tums. When your fantasy matchup gives you heartburn, take Tums and try not to cry. So, with all that being said, let's go ahead and dive right into this week's matchups. We'll go ahead and kick things off with the matchup of the week. It was Brett and me. And once again, the consensus pick lost. Thanks a lot, guys. You fucking jinxed me. Appreciate you. Brett beats me 143.8 to 115.1. I'm just glad I lost by more than 5 points so I wouldn't be kicking myself over leaving James Robinson in my lineup even though he was out. Didn't even matter that I had the week's highest scoring player in Lamar Jackson because nobody outside of him, Darren Waller, and Austin Eckler, and I mean nobody outside of those three, even hit double digits on my team. Brett got a big game Thursday night from Elijah Moore, as well as his usual stars, Hurts, Pittman, and Kelsey. Hell, even the Dolphins' defense scored 18 points for him. Brett, I apologize. Last week's recap I said you were done. I am sorry. With this loss, I fall just outside the playoffs at 4-5, and I will be playing Josh this week. Brett jumps up to third with his win, improving to 5-4, and he will face Cheese in Week 10. Speaking of Cheesy Baby, Mr. Trade Rape over there has now lost 2 in a row after he falls to George this week, 140.9 to 103.8. Cheese actually takes home the prestigious honor of scoring the week's fewest points. A big round of applause there. He did get 20-point games from Alvin Kamara and Dalvin Cook, but not much else. George, on the other hand, is starting to emerge from the primordial ooze that is the bottom of the pack. He gets over 20 points each from Dak, Deontay Smith, Darnell Mooney, and Pat Freiermuth. Despite negative points from the Ravens D and less than 1 point from Chase Edmonds, George improves to 4-5 and will face Kyle Swans next week. Cheese is now 5-4, and he will look to stop the slide against Brett. It was another big week for Armenti as he was the only team this week to break 170 points in the entire league. He blows out Kyle 207.65 to 129.9. Armenti got 85.3 points from Jonathan Taylor and James Conner, so good job there on those running backs, and another 32.9 from his quarterback Carson Wentz. Armenti is looking like a real contender here, especially if his team can keep clicking like this. Kyle got his first weekly winner of the year with Chris Boswell's 16 points, and he did get good games from Colt McCoy and Joe Mixon. But unfortunately, he just couldn't get much else going this week. Kyle is also now 5-4 and will play George in Week 10, while Armenti improves to 6-3 and actually takes over the top spot in the standings. He will face Zach in Week 10, whom he leapfrogged to get to the top. As for Zach, he lost a tough one this week, falling to Josh 169.9 to 144. For the first time in his life, Josh used his chub to achieve success and get his desired result. Good for you. He also got 27.4 points from Keenan Allen and another 21 from Justin Jefferson. Zach's defense earned him 21 points, and he got another 25.8 from Hollywood Brown, but it just wasn't enough to take out Staff Sergeant Chubb this week. Zach is now 6-3, trailing Armenti for first place by over 200 points scored, but he is 1 win above all the 5-4 teams that are mashed together between 3rd and 7th. Those two Titans will clash in Week 10 while Josh and I will square off. In a battle of two teams trending in opposite directions, we saw Swans defeat Big John 122.3 to 108.35. While Swans did not have one big scorer this week, his overall team effort was enough to take out the Gentle Giant. Outside of a few players, Big John struggled to get any real offense from his team this week. However, Christian McCaffrey did come back from IR this week, so John may be able to make a run, no pun intended, as we head into the playoffs. Big John is now 4-5 and will face the Commissioner in Week 10, while Swans improves to 4-5 and will play Jed. And in our final matchup of the week, we saw Jed hand PJ his 5th straight loss, 134.9 to 130.9. 4 points. 4 points was all it would have taken for the commish to upset Jed, but instead he finds himself 1-8 and firmly at the bottom of the standings. PJ got 42.2 points from Justin Herbert and another 20.8 from Nyheim Hines, but it was ultimately the zeros from Bryan Edwards and Nelson Aguilar that did him in. Jed finally saw a big game from George Kittle, and his fantasy savior Cordarrelle Patterson, who predicted that one, scored Jed another 23.6 points. With this win, Jed improves to 5-4 and will take on Swans in Week 10. Our dear commissioner will face Big John and hope that maybe he can get another third-round pick from somebody this week. Trading deadline's still open. Here are the standings after Week 9. As we previously mentioned, our Menti jumps over Zach to take over first place as the big dogs fall to second. Brett, Josh, Jed, and Kyle sit 3rd through 7th, all at 5-4, separated by 143.7 points. I fall to 8th with my loss this week, and I tie with Swans, John, and George, who are also all at 4-5. We're not going to talk about last place right now. As you can see, this season is still wide open. With just 5 weeks left in the regular season and 11 of the 12 teams separated by just 2 games, this is going to be a wild home stretch. Don't forget the trade deadline is at the end of Week 10, so if you have any last-minute deals to make them now. Until next time, this has been your weekly recap, and I am the Hebrew Hammer. L'chaim, motherfuckers!